Welcome to Bro Science Autopsy, the podcast where we cut through the hype and the BS, dissect the myths, and separate scientific fact from internet fiction. Every week we take the biggest claims in fitness, nutrition, supplements, hormones, peptides, longevity, and human performance and put them to the test. No influencer hype, no hidden agenda. So whether you're a bodybuilder, athlete, healthcare professional, or someone who simply wants to optimize your health without falling for the latest trend, you're in the right place. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Autopsy. I'm Dr. Josh.
Mike Hammer.
So, quick update before we go into the new episode today on some more findings on the fentanyl situation we touched on in episode 1.
It appears that they were using urine strips, in one case at least, for testing. Janishik actually had 2 positive results. According to one of the Substacks that I follow pretty closely, there's been a lot of bunk stuff with no peptides, or a lot of underdose stuff, or even wrong mismarked stuff. But this fentanyl thing is probably the most shocking. It appears to be in 5-amino-1 in a premix vial, and there were 3 positive results by 2 different laboratories. That's what we know so far.
And that's since our last episode this past week.
So be careful. You'd probably want to send that in and get it tested before you use any of it, in my opinion.
Yes, spend the extra money, make sure it's clean. Because like we said last time, you can't clean the inside of the vial once that blue cap's put on it. So today's episode is titled, Bodybuilding is Dumb. And bear with us until the end because we will come full circle, but bodybuilding is a dumb sport. And why is that?
There's a lot of reasons. It's just, if you're an actual competitive bodybuilder, it's lonely, it's time consuming, it's costly, it's not healthy, and in many aspects it's not healthy. Just the amount of weight you lift, the amount of food you eat, the sacrifices you make for bodybuilding over relationships or trips, or we can just go on and on. It doesn't end. It's a 24/7 sport.
Yeah, it's a sport that is riddled with controversy. It's riddled with skepticism. It's riddled with judgment from outside of the bubble that it exists in. And because looking from the outside in, it's ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? You know, it's true. Like, it's because it's different. There's bodybuilders and then there's weightlifters in the gym. I'm separating the two here. Guys that go in the gym just lift weights, whatever, do your thing. But the bodybuilders are kind of what we're talking about here, and it's just consuming in a way that is very unique because, like you pointed out, it's a holistic consuming of every aspect of your life, not just eating food, not just training. That's the easy stuff. That's the easy parts of it. The parts that they don't teach you or you don't expect, that's the longer list that's more complicated.
I can go on and on. And truth be told, there's a 3% of the weightlifters are going to have the genetics, the drive, the tenacity to continue, because this is not a 3-month project. This is 10 years probably to really break into it. I mean, there's going to be the Ronnie Colemans and stuff, but look at him at 13 years old. I wish I would have looked like that ever, you know? So,
Yeah.
Kevin Levrone, prime example. The guy would compete in the Olympia, and then he would stop lifting weights and taking drugs, and he would just stop everything and go play on the road with his band for 6 months, and then, oh shit, it's Olympia time again. I better get back in the weight room.
And I'd argue that it's less than 3%. It's a fraction of a fraction of a. I mean, look at C-Bum. When did he win his first Olympia title? What was he, like 24? I mean,
Yeah.
he's just a freak of nature, and like, but the other 98, 97, 99% of people that are bodybuilding, they aren't in that exception, and but in their head, they're just as obsessed with it.
Never good enough, and that's what keeps you going back to the gym, though. So that it's like, well, I'm never good enough, so that's the motivation. But you're never good enough. You got to be a little couple screws loose. I'm talking to myself here because I've been doing it for I don't even know how long.
And that's a good thing. Like self-improvement for sure. That's definitely in most cases a positive, but
For me, there was a lot of years that wasn't very positive, though. It was too much, you know. It went from bodybuilding to weightlifting to powerlifting to strongman for a little while, back to powerlifting. It was more of a competition almost daily in our gyms.
Yeah, bring your puke bucket or get out.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Bring your puke bucket.
You want to do 100 reps of 2 1/4 today squatting, or a full leg workout is your choice. What do you want to do? That happened numerous times. It was always interesting to hear the answer because I was ready to do either one.
Yeah, I was put through a few of those at a certain point in time too. But yeah, for the majority of people bodybuilding, and I'm talking about guys that are going through prep, getting ready for shows, getting on stage. It's just a pure time consumption, and it's also a 100% cost on their budget. They're not making any money. It is just a cost. And it costs a lot of money to keep doing these shows year in and year out.
It costs more than money. I mean, look at what happened with your relationship to your last show.
Yeah.
It was not good. That was not good.
Because you get into that prep mode, and we'll talk about some PEDs here in a little bit, but you get into that even more hyper-focused tunnel vision, and the brain chemistry is short-circuiting, and you're not thinking super clearly. And I know there's some guys that are going to listen to this and say, oh, well, it's not that bad.
With GLPs now, as prevalent as they are, it's not as bad. You used to have to really gut it out.
50% of the shows that I've done were gutting it out, and it was rough. It was rough altogether. I kept doing more shows because it's addictive,
but I think that's made you better overall. I mean, you're not a ripped, lean person to begin with.
No,
not like you are today. And what a lot of people don't realize is these bodybuilders, they show you all these pictures and they put them on Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff, and that's like 2 hours of one day per year, and you worked your ass off to get there. And then now you're trying to achieve that all the time, every day, or other people are. And it's just that's not healthy, livable, doable for the general population. Most people. There's the exceptions. Some guys just have it.
Some guys do just have it. So there's the massive financial cost that, like I said, unless you're in that upper few percent, you have sponsorships and you're winning shows. And I know a few guys that just competed at MPC Nationals. Their sponsorships are pretty negligible. I bet you those plane flights and I bet you all that food came right out of their pocket to go compete at that show. And that's at a level that even I haven't been able to attain before. So the financial cost, and I'm talking holistically. I'm talking your spray tan. I'm talking the food throughout the year. I'm talking gym memberships, clothing, flights, registration fees, supplements, and steroids on top of that.
It's memories, but it's so dumb if you think about the grand, because that day that you walk on stage is the least healthy you've been in a long time.
Pretty rough. Yeah,
I mean, Dorian, all these guys have talked about it at a time or two. Dorian has talked about being so lean that it would hurt to stand up because the padding on his feet was gone.
Yeah, I've heard that before too.
I mean, we're both still into it, whether you want to admit it or not. I know a guy that promotes the shows. He's 55 years old and he's 245 pounds, and he's going to make another run at it.
Yeah.
I invited him on the show today, and he said he's too much of an ooga booga. He doesn't have anything to contribute.
We both know who you're talking about, and he definitely has a lot to contribute.
He does.
The big component to it that I think needs to be talked about is the psychological damage. And I touched on it a little bit when we talked about relationships and the brain chemistry kind of short circuiting. But you get to a certain point with your brain, if it's low enough on fats and fuels.
Glucose. You run out of glucose and it switches over to ketones. Well, it's like in between that, you're kind of fucked up for a little while. Unless you really know how to manage it, I guess. If there is such a thing. So I've talked to a dozen or so of the top competitors, because I've had the opportunities on one-on-one in the gym, outside of, not in the arena, none of it. And the common thing is that these guys live a really boring existence. They get up, they eat, maybe they'll train or do cardio, they'll eat, and they'll go to sleep, and then they'll play some video games, and they'll eat, and then they'll go to the gym, and then they'll eat. It's like you eat 9 times a day and you sleep the rest of the time. They're not going for a mountain bike ride or kayaking or even going to a movie. Dorian talks about his buddies going to concerts, and he could never go because he had to be in bed at 11 no matter what.
Yeah, it certainly leads to, let's just call it tunnel vision. To the extreme degree, because it's, I had this in my notes coming into the show, and this is kind of a question for everybody, but also right now is it the most selfish sport out there?
That's a trick question. Because if you ever watched the Dan Gable story, or what was his name, LaFontaine, the runner?
Yeah.
That's kind of a similar deal, right? But these are guys that are really at the top. And I'm going to say probably MMA guys are probably like that too. They got to be hard to deal with because they're cutting weight and they're training their balls off to get punched in the face. So I don't know. Is it the most selfish? It's one of them.
Well, there's no off season. People call it the off season, but that's where you either grow or you're back to square one when you go into your next show. Like, there's eating 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day is a lot more work than starving at 1,800 calories a day, in my opinion. It's a good discussion point, nonetheless. You're going to the gym every week. I can't do this because I got to eat. And I know people like that, and I've learned to find a balance in my own life where I can kind of do both ish to a certain point, at least right now, right? Like manage the other facets of my life that I've ignored for a long time. But as you point out, like, burned a lot of bridges in the past with not being able to figure out how to manage it because you're just so tunnel visioned. If I miss that meal, if I miss that training, and if I don't get exactly those amount of sleep, if I'm traveling, I can't go on that vacation. Like, I know a lot of people that do that or don't do those things because they're so locked in to the obsession.
I met this interesting guy a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. He's from Germany. He had a real heavy duty accent and stuff. And he was so strong. He was just huge. And I started talking to him, and I asked him, what's his split like? And it was summertime when I was talking to him, and he said, he power lifts in the summertime because he likes to do things outside with his wife and his kids. And then he goes full bodybuilding in the wintertime. And maybe there's something to that because he's training both sides of it.
It could be I think the balance is relative to everyone's individual situation.
That I think that you just hit on it right there. I think is that's why bodybuilding is dumb because most of the time there's no balance.
There isn't, and as anyone listening and arguing that point is full of shit. They are. There is no balance. If you're in a relationship, and let's just even take the top tier, C-Bum. You ever watch the videos? Like, what's his wife or girlfriend at the time, then wife? She's just cooking his food. She's just there as an aid to what he's doing. I know people at the national level and the local level with that same balance of relationship, and I will not listen to anyone tell me that they have a super healthy relationship when that is the balance. It's just not possible. Oh, what do you want to do this weekend? Well, we can go within a 5-mile radius because I can't fucking go without my Tupperwares and my water,
But that's the thing. That's why it's got to be selfish because to get there, you have to do it. In most cases, unless you're like extremely gifted.
I mean, just kind of circling back though, it's hard. Really, a big point. It's hard on relationships. It's true. Yeah. So I'm not raining on their parade at all. It's just how tunnel vision do you want to get, and what are the sacrifices that come with it?
Well, we were talking about this earlier today, like the death rate. The death rate of bodybuilders overall, just the ones we hear of, not the gym schmo, Joe Bro schmoes that at your local gym most likely. These are like the Rich Pianas, the Dallas McCarvers, things like that. Per capita, that sport is more morbid than MotoGP racing on the Isle of Man. And them guys are going 200 with stone walls next to them. So put that. What can go wrong?
I mean, who else? Sean Roden, Cedric McMillan.
Man.
These are just some of the top guys. There's more, but those are the ones that come to mind. They pass away fairly young, and it makes the news because they're at the top, right? So it's then here starts the conversation. Oh, bodybuilders take so many steroids and then they're dying. That's the headline. But like, compare that sample size of bodybuilders that get on stage. How many people is it nationwide a year? I don't know. Thousands, maybe. So compare that to how many people just in the US last year died of heart disease or cardiac failure or diabetes.
Drinking.
Yeah, just not being able to stop eating sandwiches and ice cream all day long.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot more than the bodybuilders that died by a large sample. So I think it gets a little bit of a harsh judgment when you have some athletes passing away from which are serious risks when you're taking a lot of these PEDs, but people that just can't get off the couch and move for 6 seconds a day, they're dying at a lot more alarming rate.
Yeah, and some of these cases, like Sean Roden, for instance, he was under a huge amount of stress, whether anybody knows it or not. And Chris Aceto was his coach. I just saw an interview with him last week, and they were talking about it. And Dave Palumbo asked him, "Were you shocked?" And he said, "No, I knew it was coming. Nobody can handle that kind of stress. Getting kicked out of your federation, stripped of your title, and this is before you were even convicted of anything. Taken off all the magazines. Dallas McCarver supposedly he had an aortic problem. Even if the Flight for Life was already ready to go, he probably wouldn't have made it."
Yeah, I don't know. I think it gets a bad rap. That's really the point I'm trying to make with people passing away. And I know it's risky, and I want to talk about that steroids they're just dumb.
What, once you do them, now you're trying to get to that level again, and you can't do it without them. So what do? You do more of them. It's
Yeah.
it's just like bodybuilding, except for another layer.
Someone once told me when I first took testosterone, the gym's ruined forever for you now. And it's true.
Yep.
It's true. People can complain or argue with this at all, but it changed everything. And not physiologically, but it was psychological. And that's the part that broke the gym for me forever.
Yep. Seen it a million times.
And as to what we were talking about last time, like you're just chasing it. You're chasing the magic pill again. And the combination of this and the combination of that. And
Try this, try that, try that. You know, this guy did that, and look at him.
you know what's funny is that our bodies are not all the same.
Not even close.
And kind of talking about steroids, they go through these ebbs and flows. More is better, then less is more, and then more is better, and then less is more of this and that. And
Really, there's no magic bullet. No magic pill.
no,
I think if you just stick with the bioidentical hormones, your body knows what to do with them. You know what to expect. It's probably the least risky way to do it. And it's easier, cheaper, healthier. But nobody wants to hear that.
because that's what's being talked about in social media or all the other things.
Trend. Gotta get some trend.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Lots of it.
So let's talk about trend for a second. First off, it's usually brown or rust colored in the vial.
Yeah, what about the cough?
Yeah, the cough.
That can't be good. You're having a histamine response in your lungs. Isn't that's what they've concluded. So
Coughing fits until you're almost puking. Yeah.
you feel like you're gonna die. Yeah, it's so bad. It's made for cattle. It was used for a short time in France for humans, but there's parts of Europe that have so much tren coming out of the cattle urine, it's flowing into the streams and affecting the frogs and other wildlife. To this day, that can't be.
The frogs are getting roid rage and
They got big frog legs over there, I guess, or ripped legs. I don't know.
ripped legs. Yeah, the cough is a serious thing. It's not bullshit. If you've ever taken tren and you're saying you didn't get it, well, you're one of the lucky ones because it's the real deal. And
do it again. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the right blood vessel or anything when you're pinning yourself, like it's gonna happen. But I think tren is as strong as people say it is. It's extremely powerful as a PED, and that comes with serious side effects too. The physiological impacts on your internal organ health and your cholesterol, and outside of that, the huge impact psychologically, which is one that I experienced quite significantly.
And everybody says that has used it. Everybody. And some of it could be, I don't know, does it affect your sleep? Because that seems to be real common. Broken sleep. You get your bed so soaked that you got to change your sheets in the middle of the night or sleep on a towel. Change your clothes. So then you're not resting. We talked about in the last podcast, what's the most important fundamental? Probably is sleep. Yeah, well, it's good we're talking about it at least, because it seems to be the rage, and I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. No reason for it.
And I can only speak from my own experience. And when I talk about the psychological impact, it was not a rage, but it added to the short circuiting and the poor decision making. And I'm not talking life-changing decisions, just like the most basic of things.
You drop the knife on the floor and you just go berserk.
It's just the strangest. And the thing is, like, you consciously are aware. The impulse acts before the awareness.
And that's why you almost kind of have to feel bad, or give them a little bit of a pass because that's what it's like. You know what's happening, but you can't stop it. You gotta let it out.
It's extraordinarily powerful. In fact, that in an interview with Sebum, he had said he would never even touch it again ever. It's that powerful. So if you're listening to this and you do try it, be careful. There's no small side effect. They are all fairly extreme with tren, and it's very toxic. Your cholesterol is going to go through the roof depending on the dosage.
Blood pressure.
Yeah, my blood pressure when I was taking that was 168 over like 102,
Not good.
and I have had no history of high blood pressure in my entire life. So that was pretty concerning.
What did I tell you when you told me that? You better go to the doctor like right now.
Yeah, and I
They
did.
will give you medication.
Yeah, they did. They gave me losartan, I believe, and it helped. Obviously I'm not taking tren now, so I don't have to take losartan. My blood pressure is back in check as well as my brain and my vital organs. But it's very powerful. Um, the other rage too, which everyone's talking about, at least in preps, is halo testing.
That's yeah. That's a notorious anger medication. I've seen it in powerlifting. I've seen it in strongman. Now bodybuilders think they need it, and it's still FDA approved. I think it's approved for children. I'm not sure.
The reason it's used in the end of a prep is to really start to harden up your skin, to give you extra little push to finish strong. And I can tell you that that's true. It does do that. The best description I've heard of halo testing is, I think it was Dr. Mike on his show. He said it's like if someone took just the anger side effect of tren and bottled it and packaged it into a pill, and that's what halo testing is. And I can tell you that I didn't really get the anger part, but I felt like an exposed nerve taking it, and it's kind of like turning green and hulking out. It kind of felt like that. And when you're at the end of a contest prep, that feeling's pretty foreign at that point in time, so it's really weird psychologically as well. But it's extremely toxic, and you can look up like a couple days or a week. Do not take it anymore.
And then there's guys that are piling it on top of tren and whatever else they're using.
Especially in bodybuilding preps, because you throw more money into the fire and more drugs into your system and you think you're going to be better, and in a lot of cases that can be true. But circling back into why bodybuilding's dumb, at what cost? It's the dumbest sport for that very reason. And that's just two steroids we just talked about. Two of the extremes, sure.
That's what people want to talk about.
And I'll be honest, I told you this the other day. I was going to go hit legs. I took some halo testing. Just one, it's been a year and a half since I've even had any in my system. And you know what? It's still just as strong as I remember.
I was at a local powerlifting meet once, and one of my good friends was competing, and I believe he was squatting 750 that day, 785. I don't remember. Yeah, and he popped. I don't know how many he popped. 10? 10 halos and like 7 anadrol, and then he ate like 2 Snickers and slammed a big Gatorade. And he's like, "All right, I'm ready." I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he did it that day, so I guess he was ready.
He made the lift.
And he's a really laid back dude, and he changed within a half an hour. You couldn't even talk to him. He would not interact. He was just pissed. Now that I think about it, yeah, that was kind of crazy because he's so mild mannered and laid back normally. You know,
we have our moments as bodybuilders during a prep where you look back and like, not proud of that one. Not proud of that reaction. And like I said, there's a lot of guys out there that probably it affects them differently, but for the majority, it's the negative side effects are pretty common.
Well, I think that's a good point too. Is all this stuff? Everybody's so different. Like, I got one friend. He's a hyper responder. He can smell testosterone, and his arms will grow an inch. And he's 60 years old now. That's crazy. And then I know other guys. I mean, look at Chase Irons, the experiments he's done in his body. He's doing like 10 grams a week, and he morphed, no doubt about it. But this is just stuff that we know about. What's really happening behind the scenes?
I got my blood work done after a show a couple years ago, and my LDL was in the 500s. And my doctor said, I've never seen one this high before. And coming from the doctor, that hit pretty hard because you're just a sitting stroke at that point in time. Like it's.
Well, you can't. That's not sustainable long term for sure. Well, how many guys don't even check? I mean, 20, 30 years ago, blood work wasn't a thing. Couldn't even get it. Now it's so common. You forget about it. I mean, it's like having a cell phone. It's easy, you know?
It is. Yeah, and that's something that I do give respect to. The pros are advocating for blood work, which is really good to trickle down.
If you're going to be messing around with any of this stuff, you should be at least monitoring it or having somebody monitor it for you. And yeah, it costs some money and it's going to cut into the budget a little bit, but it's probably more important than the next jug of protein.
Well, and here's the fucking truth. Going back to the peptide conversation and what we're talking about now with PEDs, if you can't afford to do it right, it's probably not for you.
Even supplements, you know? Go on YouTube. There's tons of guys that are testing this stuff now, and you can see if it's bunk or not before you even buy it. Underdosed, no dosed. That's why it's dumb.
That's why it's dumb. There's a growing list of things that you should be committing to even consider getting up on stage.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to commit to, we'll call them PEDs, and that's just going to be a blanket statement for growth hormone, insulin, and all the anabolics that you can think of. Once you try them, you're not going back. You're not going to just try it. You know what's going to happen? You're going to be 30, 40, 50 pounds heavier. You're going to look better. You're going to have veins popping out and everything. And try to shut that off once. Let me know how it goes.
I just saw this play out recently. Someone I know started taking a TRT dose of testosterone. Veins started showing up. Strength started going up. And I'm talking TRT dose too. But for someone that hasn't been on anything, that can do a lot. A couple months in, I get a message. Oh, I think I want to start running some HGH now.
That's probably the best next compound to try. And it's most declining after 30 years old. By 40 or 50, you got none or negligible amounts. So if you're going to do HRT, we'll call it, that's probably the next best step, in my opinion.
I think that's the best combination out there right now for most people is testosterone and HGH, if you can afford it.
But after that, well, you know, this stuff really is working good. What if I just throw a little tren in the mix, or you name it?
That was the next fucking comment I got.
No.
I shit you not. That was the next comment I got. And you know what my response was? Go for it.
Try it. Let me know how it is.
Try it. Yeah. Like, you tell me how it works for you. And going back to trend, like, it will save a lot of muscle in a contest prep. It is very powerful tool, but it is so toxic, as we pointed out. So,
Well, my one longtime training partner, and bless his heart, but his famous motto was, if you want to be freaky, you got to do freaky shit. And that's kind of the truth.
In this sport, it is the truth, which is why it's dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you get respect. I think that, and when that starts happening, well, then you got to go back to the gym because you're not big enough. You know, if that worked good, and that's going to go in the boardroom, in front of your boss, in front of customers, whatever profession you're doing, all of that, it just commands respect for some reason. Is that primal?
It does command respect. I told you stick with us until the end. Is like you walk around and it doesn't demand respect, but it gets respect. And I think, in my opinion, and I want to hear yours too, is because it shows an external example of dedication and commitment.
Yeah, only because not everybody looks like that. It takes a lot of work to look like that, or the special combo, or both. And it shows that you have some sort of work ethic because you do have to be consistent. You can't just do it twice now and a month from now you'll do it for a whole week and then, well, summer got busy and then, that's not how it works. It's a all the time thing to look like anything anyways. A lot of guys do it for the chicks, right? Gonna pick up chicks. It's all the dudes that want to talk to you about it, not any girls or hardly any. I mean, there's exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, the hottest girl in the club, her man is going to look at you before she does. And that's what happens, you know?
I'm laughing because I've been in the gym for a long time, and I can count on one hand the amount of times a girl has come up and talked to me. I couldn't count on 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 hands how many times a guy has come up and talked. And just last week, this 25-year-old came up to me. Your rear delts are really defined. What's your favorite exercise to do? And I just made something up in my head. I didn't want to sit there because when I go in the gym, I'm like, fuck off, leave me alone. But I'm like nice if someone talks to me.
You're not very approachable, though, when you got your hood up and your headphones on and a big frowny face.
Uh, I do. I do. That's true. That's true. So, but he had the stones to come up and approach me, so I'll give him credit there. The long answer is time, consistency, and another decade, buddy. That's the truth. Most people do it for the chicks, and it's not what you're gonna get. And if that's why you're getting on stage, you're doing it for the wrong fucking reason, then. Because you know what? Girls that aren't into bodybuilding, that go to a bodybuilding show, seeing a bunch of dudes in dong shorts standing up on stage, it's not attractive. It's not.
The thing of it is, though, as a bodybuilding community as a whole, if you're really into it, it's kind of like a camaraderie. You can go anywhere in the world and go up to the biggest dude, and he's probably going to be the nicest, most humble dude there. And I've coached a few guys at work. They're overweight. They just want to get to the gym. They want to learn. Go up to the biggest dude there. If you don't know how to use something or do something correctly, and ask him if he'll show you. And I'll bet you 9 times out of 10 he'll take his headphones off and set down his weight, and he will help you out. Because that's just kind of how it is. We all started at nothing. We didn't know anything. We didn't know how to do anything correctly. And then my big thing for coaching anybody or helping anybody is I don't want to see anybody get hurt, first and foremost. So
yeah, you're right. It is a good community. And circling back to like bodybuilding, getting respect, it's a testament to dedication and hard work, and it's an external example of that. And it is a nice community. I've met some of the nicest people in that community, men, women, everybody. And it should get the respect that it deserves for the people that are willing to go through these risks and suffer and get up on stage in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people by yourself and just be scrutinized by a panel of judges
And smile.
and smile. Yeah. Critical feedback from a judge at a certain point. Yeah. Look like you want to be there. Anyone doing
Yeah.
your first show, make it sure you look like you want to be there, even though you really don't, because you're miserable and tired and hungry and you want to eat a
But
sandwich. But
but with all that being said, it goes so full circle. It's so dumb. You gotta have fun with it too. You can make it serious, but you can have a lot of fun with it too. And the best times that I can remember that is going out with the group of meatheads, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" You got 10 250-pound dudes coming through the crowd. I didn't know it at the time, but it was pretty awesome. We had some good times.
and they weren't 250-pound men wearing tarps.
No, they weren't. We were wearing tarps sometimes. A lot of guys weren't wearing hardly anything either because they had to show it off. They worked damn hard for it, so they're going to try to reap the benefits. Oh, then you always get the little cowboy in the group that wants to fight the big dude. So be ready for that too. Or arm wrestling. And arm wrestling is getting really popular now.
I've
So
been asked so many times to arm wrestle over the years. You must be really good. I'm like, dude, I stripped so many tendons off. You win. I'm not even gonna try. Not
I
gonna
can't
happen.
even peel a hard boiled egg. I can't arm wrestle,
Yeah,
you
like
know?
the amount of arthritis and tendonitis I have in my hands from lifting so heavy over the years. I'm like, I couldn't even hold on to your hand long enough to even pull it off.
That's a whole nother specialized set of muscles too.
It's more in the powerlifting world than it is bodybuilding. Mechanical advantage,
Yeah, it's a lot of technique, really. It's more technique than strength. Well, it's like more tendon strength and technique.
like powerlifting.
Yeah, I mean, so are you trying to move the weight or are you trying to build a muscle? Powerlifters are trying to move the weight from point A to point B as efficiently as possible and as much as they can at that time. Bodybuilders should be doing exactly the opposite. So once you get caught up into that competitiveness, there's no like power building. I mean, the best example is probably Mike O'Hearn, but he does it pretty intelligently.
I like his philosophy. Do a couple compound movements and then some focus movements per muscle group, like his power bodybuilding thing. Which I think I tried it for a few years and I kind of liked it. Yeah, you're either moving the weight or you're feeling the weight. It's that simple. You're moving the weight or you're feeling it, and one thing's going to build muscle, and one thing's going to just move that weight from point A to point B, like you said.
I just heard an interesting Louis Simmons story. For everybody that knows who Louis Simmons is, he was the owner of West Side Barbell in Ohio, and his gym got so popular, was getting so big that they were getting a bunch of people in there that didn't meet his criteria. So he got so pissed that he welded 2 1/4 on all of the bench bars. If you can't do 2 1/4, get the fuck out of here. That was his motto.
So yeah, bodybuilding's dumb, steroids are dumb, but they can make your experience definitely quite adventurous if you do it responsibly.
Well, and look at the amount of people that it's helped throughout the years. Arnold, Jesse Ventura, name any pro wrestler basically that's pushed their careers because a lot of that stuff's to look, especially in Hollywood. I mean, look at the dude that plays Jack Reacher. He's like 45 years old, jacked with abs.
It's true.
The Rock. I mean, yeah, I know he's downsized. Batista. Yeah, the list goes on and on.
He's just huge, yeah. Yeah, it can open doors for sure, and that goes down to the majority versus the minority of that sport too, right? It's almost two separate conversations in a lot of scenarios, but advice is don't get too far down the rabbit hole and sacrifice the rest of your life in terms of your own health and wellness, but also the people around you. It's so easy to forget about them, and they get caught in the crossfire of what you're doing.
They're the ones that matter in the end, anyways. They don't care how big you are.
They didn't care when you were 50, 75 pounds lighter, and they're not going to care now, and they're not going to care later about how jacked you are, because they're irreplaceable components in your life. And pay attention to them, because shit changes all the time. Any of us can wake up tomorrow or not. So that's my biggest advice, is just don't get too far where you're making sacrifices that you might not even realize you're making, and impacting relationships, because it's so hard to lift your head up out of your tunnel vision and realize the impact you're having around the fucking people around you, because they could be suffering and just keeping it together because they're trying to support you, but you don't know how much actual damage you're doing to those relationships at that point in time.
I had a training partner not too long ago, and one of his famous lines was, "Pay now or pay later, but you're going to pay." And that can be used with your relationships, with the PEDs, with your lifting style, all of the above. Pay now or pay later, but you will pay.
You're going to pay in some way for pushing those limits on your physiology, both internally, externally, and then the byproducts of that process in relationships and with relationships and loved ones. It's inevitable. Anyone who tells me that they have not at least hit one of those in their experience is full of shit. Straight up full of shit. Even the pros, Chris Bumstead, any of those guys.
Any of them. All of them.
It's just part of this sport. And yes, that's why it's dumb, but like we pointed out, it gets respect on the other side of the coin too.
I think a lot of it is lack of self-confidence or low self-esteem, or maybe both. And that might be the driving factor that gets you in the door. And then the snowball starts. So you get a little bigger, start looking a little better. Maybe a girl talks to you. Maybe you get some respect here and there. You get some compliments. Now your confidence is boosted a little bit. Maybe you're going to take a little this, little that. Everybody's seen it 1,000 times. That's what happens. Maybe it works out. Maybe it don't.
Yeah, just trying to find a place or a space or a thing or a community or involvement in something, and you find it and then you fucking latch onto it harder than you realize and then 20 years go by and you're still doing it, and you're still doing it, and having this fucking podcast right now, right?
Even longer than 20 years go by and you're still doing it.
Decades go by and you're like, holy shit, I've been doing this for a long time.
So dumb.
It's one of the most unique sports in the world, and I do give respect to the people doing it. It's tough and it's rewarding. It's a really interesting process, and like I said, there are a lot of benefits to doing it too. We're not just running at bodybuilding, but the rewarding side of it, the personal gratification, and the holy shit, what did I just do? And I did it. It's so extreme compared to a lot of sports. Not everything. I'm not going to say it's the most extreme, but it is one of the more extreme processes to go through in all of the aspects that we pointed out.
And the biggest problem is it's subjective to them. 12 judges in front of you. It's all onto them.
Yeah, you go one show to the next, and you are leaner, you are 10 pounds heavier, you're right at your weight cap, and you're in the best shape of your life, and you place worse than your last show.
It's political too. Look at Arnold in 1980. You know?
It's political. I've even had experience with that.
Yep.
Aspect a few shows ago. And all that work that you just did, all that growth you made over the last 1 to 2 years since between those two shows, they just shit on it. And you got to take it and grow with it and find the positives, and then put some stupid Instagram post out like, oh, this is just a learning experience, blah, 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 learning experience. I feel okay. No, you don't. You're fucking pissed. Don't sugarcoat it. You're pissed and you're disappointed and you're not happy right now.
Then you go home and you reflect on it, how dumb it is and stupid. You spend all this money and time, and everybody's pissed at you because you were an asshole because you took too much tren. And then a couple weeks later, you fill back out again, and you start getting some compliments again, how big you look, and you're vascular, and you look pretty good, and nobody else is around from the show. And there goes the cycle again.
Yep, you're right in it again. Fuck those judges. You start to use it as fuel. And like, yeah, that's a positive too. Like you start to fuel back up. You're filling the tank back up. That was just tanked.
I'm,
And like,
I'm going to show them motherfuckers next time.
when's the next show? Or where's that guy that beat me? Where's he going to compete next? I'm going to go crush him this time. Like,
and then maybe if I try this and I do that and I take more Halo, then I'm going to be bigger and more ripped. And
yeah, maybe 3 grams a week wasn't enough. Maybe I need to bump it. Maybe I need to bump it to 4. You know, do I need more Anavar Winstrol? Do I? It's all these.
I got to buy more peptides.
I gotta buy BPC 157. Hopefully, it doesn't have fentanyl in it.
That'll 5-amino-1 and SLU and
that'll really do the trick.
Esofentine and yeah, let's do it all. I'm gonna be just shredded. We can do some BAM 15 and some DNP and just kill it.
You know, I'll say this about the kids on TikTok talking about peptides and how great they are. They're all about $1.85 and they might have abs. Rarely do I see someone that is bodybuilding size ranting about how great peptides are on the internet. They keep their mouths shut and they use what they know works. I mean, other than HGH and for sure insulin, which, speaking of insulin, works great.
Can.
Works great.
It can be very dangerous. That's one of the few things you can take that can kill you immediately.
If you take it right, it is extraordinarily powerful. But you twist that dial a couple too many clicks, you can have some very serious consequences very rapidly.
Especially if you're not ready for it or you don't have somebody around that knows how to treat it. You start going hypo. That's a whole nother level beyond the PEDs.
Yeah, and thankfully that's not one that's usually readily available as much as the peptide. So if anyone's listening to this, you have questions about insulin, leave some comments and we can provide some helpful links because it is taking it to a whole new level of danger because you pin yourself with an extra few milligrams of testosterone, nothing happens, but couple clicks in the wrong direction with an insulin injector and you're going to have serious problems.
You might not wake up.
There's a lot more math behind how many carbohydrates you need in your system per unit of insulin and then what you need to plan for in and around training. It's very complicated and it's different for everybody.
Yeah, there you go again. It's different for everybody and you do have to know how to treat it if things start going south. And you might not even be able to on your own. I think the bottom line is all of this stuff is you should probably just, if you're going to try it, I can't stop anybody from that. Don't want to either. Start off low as possible. Lowest effective dose.
Just start low. Just take your time. A little bit goes a long way, especially when you're starting from zero with all the things.
My recommendation too is, I mean, if you're going to try any of this stuff or not, go get your blood work done. Even if you're going to be natural for the rest of your life, cool. But the sooner you can get it done, the better baseline you'll have for later.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had some long time, way before I did. I didn't start getting blood work until I was 40 years old. Well, who knows what I was doing at 30 or 25, you know? I mean, some of these guys might have low testosterone their whole life and not know it. Or high estrogen or high cholesterol when you're 30 years old.
I think that's really good advice, too, is before you consider these things, is to get your blood work done.
Get a baseline. See where you're at. It's not going to hurt anything.
Even PEDs and peptides aside, there might be something going on that you're not aware of. So get your blood work done.
And blood work isn't going to tell all of the tale anyways. but at least it's some kind of data that you can reference. And it's really just a snapshot in time also, so keep that in mind. Did you go partying all weekend? Did you just get done doing a set of heavy deadlifts or legs? Did you do a whole bunch of ayahuasca last week in the Amazon jungle and puke your brains out? Who knows? This is just one little snapshot. It probably is going to take a year or two of consistent blood tests to get a baseline of anything. That's just the reality of it. I see a lot of places now they do at home stuff and it's monthly and it's fairly cost effective. Quarterly is probably okay. You can do that at home. I'm giving one a try right now just because it's convenient and it's fairly cost effective for 58 tests.
That's really good partying advice. Circling back to the health and the side effects of why bodybuilding is dumb, why it deserves respect, why PEDs are dumb, why steroids are dumb, but not that they deserve respect, but they need to be done respectfully. Get your blood work done, be safe, trust in the science, and question everything.